Here are my comic book goals for 2022. What's going on, everybody? Justin here, aka No Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel once again. I wanted to put this video together to really go over my goals for 2022. Now that we've kicked off the year, I see a lot of people talking about different highlights and things, recapping 2021, and I'll be honest, I tried to do that, and it was just too hard because there was just so many great books that were out. There was no way that I could really fit just as like a top 10. Although I think if I had to pick one as my number one read of the year for 2021, it would probably be Nightwing, as I've talked about already. Just had a live stream recently with Sadé. If you guys missed that, check that out. I'll put the link in the description as we broke down that trade from Tom Taylor. So I thought I'd look ahead. And I do, I'm a big fan of the idea of setting goals, looking ahead, wanting to kind of define what it is that I'm going after, what it is that I want to read, and all these different things. So two main things I want to kind of split here in this particular video is to first go over the books that I'm looking to collect. The books that I want to buy, and I'm talking about single issues. So a couple of key issues that I'm on the hunt for compared to kind of what I've looked at last year and what I was after last year. And then I also want to go over the books that I want to read this year. So some of the goals, now obviously my plan is to read a lot this year, as I have last year. And overall, I like to read a lot of the new books. I'd like to try to keep up on a lot of the new stuff. However, this particular goal list is, I want to define is all of the older books, some of the older books, I should say, that I want to go back and kind of review, put on my to be read list and knock out all within this year. So I want to go over, what I ended up doing was I picked 3 Marvel books, 3 DC books, and 3 indie books, which all of that was very challenging, that in itself. And the books that I will talk about here today certainly doesn't end with this list. There's a lot more that I want to read that are, considered older. But these 9 are definitely ones I'm going to put to the forefront, ones I've talked about wanting to read for a while. I think there's 2 or 3 in there that I've started to read, but I haven't, I just, slowed down for other books and things like that. So for me this year, I want to really make sure that I sit down and read these 9 books that I'm talking about. And when I say books, I'm talking about series, I should say, whether it be like a trade paperback or an omnibus, or parts of a series of some sort, at least enough for me to check out, see if it's for me. And if it is, continue reading. But so before I do all that, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Appreciate everybody hanging or taking the time to watch this. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of these books. I'm always curious to hear your thoughts, and let me know what your number one book is coming up for this year, what you want to collect, and let me know about what is your number one read that your goal is to read this year in 2022. Whether it's something you've read before or something that you've never read and you want to, dive into it for the first time, let me know. So, all right, I'm going to go into this. And I'm actually going to, I'll kick it off with the hunt list. So the first one that I want to, when I say the hunt list, obviously I want to go to the store, to go to the shops, try to find these books out in the wild, these individual keys. These are 5 key issues that I am going to be hunting this year. And the first one up here is, and it's really probably going to be no major surprise, but it's going to be X-Men 100. This X-Men book is one of the few X-Men issues that I'm missing from issues 94 all the way to 143. So I've been trying to collect that main section of the Chris Claremont series, at least for now. I'm sure I'm going to want to collect more, I'm sure, down the road. But for now, all the John Byrne stuff, John Byrne ends at 143. And then, I know that he didn't kick it off in the very beginning, but just the very start of Claremont going 94 all the way through. So that's why I'm going to have 100 on my list. That's probably the most expensive, it's close, maybe the second most expensive book that I'm missing of this run. And the other 2 books I'm going to talk about too that are on this hunt list as well. But that's like, I wanted to start with that one. So X-Men 100, just a beautiful book and very iconic. Seeing the team kind of go head to head with each other. We broke the whole thing down on the Omni X-Men show. If you guys missed that, you certainly can go watch the replay. But that's going to be one of the books on my hunt list. The second one that I want to talk about is another X-Men book. It is issue 109. And I the first Vindicator, obviously, the annoying thing is that this has certainly become a bigger key than I feel like I want to spend, I guess I should say. It certainly is a key, that's for sure. And it's an iconic cover. I mean, certainly people recognize that. If you're a fan of Alpha Flight, if you know Vindicator, obviously you know this book. You're very familiar with it. And really, the first time that we see him and Wolverine duke it out, which was a great issue that we broke down as well, me and John over on the Omni X-Men. So definitely, this is the second book that I'm missing. I want to fill this in as well. Again, it actually might be a little pricier than 100. Even though it came out after. They're right around the same age in terms of when they came out. But, I definitely want to make sure that I lock that in this year and again, trying to finish up this X-Men run. The third book on my list also is X-Men, so I'll just go right into that. And that is X-Men 138. And that is kind of the wrap up after the Dark Phoenix saga. It's actually a book we had just recently recapped on the Omni X-Men, and that was a lot of fun. And this particular issue, one of the reasons it's my last X-Men book, out these three that I'm talking about here, this is my last X-Men book that I'm going to need for this particular goal of mine that I'm setting, is that it's easy to find. This particular one, it's cheap, it's easy to find, $20 to find like a decent grade of a comic book, a raw comic, and I'm fine with that. So that's why I've kind of been pushing it off. It's not necessarily a hard book to find. I would like it in a nicer grade. I'm willing to pay $30 to $40 for it if I can find it in a bit of a nicer grade. I know my LCS Zap Comics, they've had it for a long time, and I feel like they constantly get that book in and it resells again. They get another one in. So again, I've purposely been kind of taking my time with that, but it's going to be on my list because I want to complete that this year. That's, I guess, the long way of me saying my goal is to complete X-Men 94 to 143, and these are the three books that I need in order to do that. So that's on my list as a whole for my hunt list for 2022. The next book that I want to go into, or book number 4, is actually going to be Swamp Thing. This is issue number 1. This is a book that as I've fallen more and more in love with the character, I've been wanting to own this particular series, actually, the whole 10 issues that had come out. Bernie Wrightson doing these 10 covers. And it's cool because I never really knew much about Bernie Wrightson, the artist who's done these covers, who are involved with these issues. And my dad pointed it out, actually, and he said that he gained a lot of inspiration as he grew up and became the artist that he became. Bernie Wrightson was someone who he really looked up to, really appreciated his artwork, and something he shared with me recently, my dad. So it was just cool to kind of hear that as well as I'm reading Swamp Thing, as I'm getting more into the character, and just going in that direction. So, and I have a little bit of the information that's up here. So it is the first appearance and origin of Alec Holland. It also has a bunch of cameos like Anton Arcane. I don't know the characters as much. I know Matt Cable here, who he plays a bigger role in like the Sandman stuff. I guess he's like a character named Raven, which I don't know as much about yet either. First cameo of the Unmen, Nathan Ellery, man who caused the explosion that created Swamp Thing, and obviously this is the first ongoing solo title for Swamp Thing. So yeah, just again, a book that, and it's written by Len Wein. I should mention that. Len Wein, Bernie Wrightson, great team. So definitely my I'm talking about 5 books here, but my bigger goal is to actually own all 10 issues. I think I only own like 3 right now, or 4. So I still have a ways to go. But this book right here, my number 1 book that I want to, or Swamp Thing issue number 1 is one of the books that's at the high end of the priority list, I should say. And then for my last one here, I'm actually kind of audibling here because I'm looking at a couple. There are 2 I'm actually looking at here. So I know I said 5. I'm actually going to name 6 here, and I'll keep this one short. But I'm going to throw this one up here, Doctor Strange issue 169, and it's actually a cover that I've been eyeing for a long time, and I can't necessarily say it's something that means something special to me. I don't have some deep story about it or anything like that. However, I will say, as I've been kicking off this new year, I've had this, well, it's really not random. I've had this like grown interest in wanting to read more Doctor Strange, and it's something I've never really had before. I've never really cared for the character other than like I like Doctor Strange, the character in the films and stuff, and he was always just okay to me. Like I didn't have anything against the character, but I just felt like I never prioritized wanting to read anything of his. So I recently reached out to my buddy Paul, PJ Morris, over on Instagram, and I asked him if he has some suggestions, some advice on some Doctor Strange that I should read on. And the first thing that he mentioned was The Oath, which was, and I should pull that up. So yeah, he mentioned Doctor Strange, The Oath. It's by Brian K. Vaughan and Marcos Martin, which, by the way, by the time you're watching this, if you're watching this on Wednesday, as this is airing, me and Paul are actually going to break this down. We're going to discuss these 5 issues on Thursday, so tomorrow, from what you're watching this right now. So if you're around live, I think 8:30 we said Eastern time, swing by the channel for that. If you haven't read The Oath yet, maybe it's something you want to check out. But so I just kind of had this, it's like I said, it's not random interest, but it's obviously the Spider-Man film definitely got me more interested in some of the things that, to learn just a little bit more about Doctor Strange. On top of that, though, the artwork I've noticed as I've been like paying attention to what some of my friends have been posting over on Instagram, just some beautiful artwork, stunning artwork. And shout out to like Moonlit Comics, Michelle, Paul, Morbius. You guys have really, putting out a lot of great books in general that you're sharing. But for whatever reason, the Doctor Strange stuff is something that's really been catching my attention. So I figure, why not put this on the list for my hunt list this year? Doctor Strange issue 169, not a first appearance per se, but I know that's when they changed the title series. So Doctor Strange, formerly the formerly titled Strange Tales, first solo title for Doctor Strange issue. It's also his origin. It's retold, and it's the first appearance of Charles Benton. Later becomes Asmodeus. And again, I don't even know these characters, or at least I don't think I know them. So I am, I would love this cover. It's a beautiful cover. Obviously one I've seen for a long time now, a lot of people talking about it. And let's see, the artwork, Roy Thomas, written by Dan Atkins. Okay, so there you go. But that's going to be on my hunt list. Wouldn't mind getting this in a mid to high grade, as it is such a beautiful cover. So that's that. All right, and the last book that I have on this hunt list, I know I mentioned 5. I'm giving you a 6th one, but it's one I did not want to leave off this list. It's a rather big one, and it's only gone up. I probably should have tried to buy it earlier this year because it's only gotten worse and worse. But, of course, I am talking about The Incredible Hulk, issue number 180. Not 181. 180. I am a big fan of owning the first appearance of characters. This is the very first time that we see Wolverine in a comic book storyline, so I am very pumped to eventually get this book. And like I said, I probably should try to buy it last year. Now might not even be the time, but I guess once they announce anything, I'm sure it's just gonna keep going up. So I'm gonna just try to get it now or this year and set my goals high for that. So I didn't want to leave that off the list. Certainly, aiming higher, but Hulk 180, I feel like that book needs to be in my collection. I would love to own it, even if it's in a lower grade, a 3.0, 4.0. I would be more than happy with. I know that there are some decent raw deals out there, raw copies out there that. I've even seen discounts on the ones missing the stamp, the Marvel stamp. I'm okay with that too. I don't necessarily need a stamp. I just want to have the book. So, but we'll see. I'm going to keep an eye out, see what opportunities come my way in this new year. Fingers crossed. So these are as I said, 5. These are now the 6 books that I have on my hunt list for 2022, and we will see how we do with that. Before I get into my goals of what I want to read, like I said before, leave a comment in the comment section below. Would love to know your hunt list, your goals for 2022. What is it? What's the number 1 book that you're trying to hunt down this year? Let me know. Okay, so now I want to kind of switch it up here. I want to talk about my goals for what I want to read in 2022. And these next 9 books that I'm going to talk about, it's really, like I said before, like series or trade paperbacks or even the Omni, whatever the case may be. A lot of it depends on like if I'm enjoying it, I'm going to keep reading it. But either way, this is a goal I've wanted to set for myself as I read a lot of different things, a lot of new stuff, and I want to take time, make sure to carve time out to read some of the older classic stuff and things that I've just haven't, either I wasn't collecting or reading at that time and I missed it, or I'm just getting into certain characters now and I want to explore. So I'm going to start with Marvel. Like I said in the beginning, I kind of branched it out between, I picked 3 Marvel series, 3 DC, and 3 indie. So I'm going to start with Marvel. And the first one that I want to talk just briefly about is All New Wolverine. And this is Tom Taylor. This is actually something JP collects. He had just mentioned to me as I was talking about Nightwing earlier this week with Sadé, and he was in the chat and he mentioned, that was a series that I might want to check out. And he's not the only one. I've had a lot of people mention that series to me before. I know a lot of people who own the omnibus now, John being another one, Victoria Read Across the Stars, another one. I think Sheena owns it as well, or she's read it. And I know there's so many more that have recommended this to me. So definitely wanted to have this on the list for my 2022 reads. So I want to at least get into the first 6 issues or so, the first trade, and see where it'll take me from there. I know there's the whole omnibus from that, but that's my goal, is to at least give the trade a shot. The next one that I want to talk about here is Daredevil, the Frank Miller run. As a Daredevil fan, I have never read the Frank Miller Daredevil before. I've heard amazing things about it. I think there was like 1 or 2 random issues I had read early on. I don't even remember why or which ones they were. But obviously, it's a iconic read from what I've heard, and one that if I'm going to call myself a Daredevil fan, I need to be able to have knowledge on some of these classics that have come out, and I just have never had the time or the opportunity to really read these. So a cool thing about this, I've been talking to my good friend Daryl, aka Read Your Comics, over on Instagram. He and I are doing a buddy read with this now. And I know Gore Vidal, he has also mentioned this to me several times in my chat, along with John's Comics with Kids, and so many others, I'm sure, who have kind of been hounding me to read a series like this. So Daredevil from Frank Miller, an iconic one, Klaus Janson. I just put this up here, but my goal is to read the entire run for Frank Miller run. So like I said, I'm doing a buddy read with Daryl. If anyone's interested in kind of reading along as well, reach out to me. We are going to start with issue 158, as that is the first issue that Frank Miller took over with the artwork specifically, not the writing yet, but we figure we'll just start from there. So kind of going week by week, issue by issue, and going that way. So I'm looking forward to that. And so that's my second Marvel book here. And then the third Marvel book, this is really recent as well, and it kind of ties into the whole, it's kind of backwards, but it kind of ties into the whole Doctor Strange thing, in that I was, been more curious and more interested in reading Doctor Strange because of the SpiderMan film. What that also brought, that film, was my kind of new interest or spark of interest in reading some Spider-Man. And I've never really considered myself a big Spider-Man fan. I've never taken the time to really read any Spider-Man unless it was a tie-in with other characters. And other than the films, that's the only thing I'm really familiar with. So I figure let's start somewhere. And I was actually just talking with John about maybe, some suggestions. And I remember him breaking down the Bendis series last year that he read with his daughters, and said that he really enjoyed it. And I have it here, the Ultimate Spider-Man series. I know, or from what I remember seeing, it's like the longest Spider-Man run or something like that. I don't know much about the Ultimate series. I know John had he was mentioning that there's like a few other series as well, like Fantastic Four and X-Men. There was like kind of a string of all these different ones that were being written at that time. But this particular one, he was saying, it's like just a great reboot for Spider-Man in general. Kind of gives you similar vibes of like the story, original story, but also kind of tweaks and changes some small things along the way as well, kind of making it more modernized and, just going in that direction. So trying to broaden my horizons and read some Spidey, and I figure, let's start here, since that's kind of where I've heard. But I am curious, anyone that's watching this right now, if you have a recommendation for me on Spider-Man, if there's a series, or a trade paperback or something that you think is a good kind of jumping in point, or just an important I guess, moment or moments from the character, certainly add it in the comment section below. Always curious about that. So those are my Marvel ones. Right there, those three. And then I'm going to jump to the indie titles next. And there's a ton of indie stuff that I just haven't, again, trying to just condense to 3 for now. In terms of goals, I'm going to be reading way more than this. I know it. But I wanted to first and foremost put Black Hammer up there, which I've already read the first 6 issues of Black Hammer, the first trade that Jeff Lemire has put out. I have a lot more to go. And I think that, I think it's going to be something that we're going to read over on JP's channel, JP Collects, for his indie show. Me, John, maybe Comic Man Andy as well. But we're going to be breaking down, we're going to be reading and doing the indie show for Black Hammer. So, like I said, I read the first trade, loved what I read. I know Abby has been trying to, has been telling me about it for a long time. Victoria as well. Also really recommending Black Hammer. So I'm looking forward to it, and it's Jeff Lemire. So obviously, I had to have some Jeff Lemire on this list for these indies, even though there's so many different indies, so many different publishers that this falls under. It's really not fair to just put indies under, indies under its own category, because really it should be separated even more so, since there's so many great things: Image, Boom, Aftershock, so on and so forth. But here we are. So Black Hammer, the whole world I want to read. So that's the first one. Second one here is Middle West. Scotty Young, Jorge Corona. They just finished the Me You Love in the Dark. I love that miniseries. Thought it was fantastic. I actually have read the first trade of Middle West, and I really, really enjoyed it. I'm actually not sure why I didn't continue reading it. I assume I just got caught up with a lot of other things, a lot of other series and books that I've been trying to read. But this is actually a book that I picked up a trade half off over at Zap Comics when they were having their deal. And I actually AOK'd it over to my good friend Shy Comic Girl, Haley, who has never read it at all. So I figured that was something for her to enjoy. So as for myself, though, I really need to finish out and read the whole thing. So I'd love to get the hardcover at some point. That's on my list. But yeah, so that's going to be my second Middle West. Okay, so I just grabbed 2 more books here. And again, I'm bending the rules here. I'm supposed to only talk about 3, but it's indies, and I combine them all. So, since there's tons of publishers, I'm going to give you a 4th. So my 3rd and 4th are actually 2 that I own physically now. And this one I just picked up from Amazon, who was having a sale, half off, the library edition of Lady Killer. So Joelle Jones, I am so excited for this. I actually did read issue 1 a while back out of curiosity, and I loved what I read. And then I just wanted to experience it with a nicer set here. So got the library edition, which was on sale over on Amazon. So great deal for that. That's my 3rd indie. That is definitely a goal of mine, and very soon, actually. So there's that. And then the 4th one that I'm adding into this indie list here is actually the omnibus here that I got for Christmas. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, you've seen that I posted this. My girlfriend got it for me. It is a beautiful, beautiful omnibus. It is my 2nd omnibus that I own that's, or I should say second series of omnibus. I own 4 of the X-Men series as my first set of omnibus. But, going away from X-Men, getting the Sandman edition of issue number 1 from Neil Gaiman. So excited to get into this. I read the first trade. I loved it. And just been hearing so many great things about this. Jason has been yelling at me. I need to read up on some more of this, because I know there's some really great issues to come. Gore Vidal also mentioning that there's just a lot of good stuff coming my way. So really looking forward to this. I know, John, you had also picked this up a while back. So yeah, just going to add this to the list too. And that's going to be my 4 for the indie titles, my goals for 2022. Still getting used to saying that. I'm going to round this out now with some DCs. So appreciate everybody kind of sticking with me here as I break this down. But for DC, I'm going to start with Batman White Knight. And this is the whole series here. So I actually picked both of these up during a sale earlier in 2020, or recently, just a couple months ago over at Zap. They had them, I think they were half off. The only thing is, and this is just stunning, by the way, the only thing is neither of these are the very first volume, which I did not realize when I was first buying them. But I really wanted to get into this. I've heard a lot of great things about Sean Murphy and what he's done with Batman White Knight. but yeah, so I got Curse of the White Knight, and then also this is the Harley Quinn kind of spin-off Batman White Knight. So, but the one that, and I'll put it up here on the screen, that I want to start with is the actual Batman White Knight. So again, Sean Murphy doing the work here, and just something that, again, I've been wanting to explore more Batman in general. If I could go for DC, I'll tell you now, I'm going to talk just about 3 books, but DC was a long list as I was making these lists of like goals of books that I wanted to read. There was a lot of Batman. There was, I mean, like Long Halloween was on there, the Court of Owls, a lot of other, great, reads. But I'm going to keep it at 3 for this one since it's DC. So that's the first one, right? Batman White Knight. Second one here is Batgirl Year One, and already just looking at this artwork, like I'm so excited to read this. And this is one that I was actually inspired by JP Collects, who I mentioned earlier, and also Kavi, Comic Books NYC, as I joined them on their Gotham City Chronicles show that they do, where they pick random Batman books to kind of break down with other friends from the community. I had recently done one with them for Robbin Year One, and I really loved it. And turns out just a couple weeks before that, they actually did Batgirl Year One. So I enjoyed the Robbin one, and as I talked to them about it, they said I should check this out. I wanted to put it on my list. It's been on my list now for a little while, but I definitely want to get into reading that soon. I think it's like 11 or 12 issues, which is a nice compacted, series there, manageable or digestible, I should say. So I'm looking forward to this. And again, already just seeing from the artwork and stuff, it looks awesome. Oh, so this is Scott Beatty as well, or this is Scott Beatty and Marcos Martin. Marcos Martin, who I was just talking about with The Oath. That's pretty cool from the Doctor Strange stuff. So maybe that's why it really stands out to me with the artwork. But it's gorgeous, and I'm excited for it. So and that's the other thing too. Batgirl is a character, again, me like falling more and more in love with Nightwing. Obviously is very heavily associated with Batgirl, and I want to learn more about Barbara Gordon. So that's the other reason why I wanted to put that on my list as part of my DC top 3 goal, reading goals that I have. So so that's my second one. And then the third one that I'm going to put up here, this is certainly this is a long-term goal, and I really would like to, very similarly to X-Men, want to slowly read everything that was put out by this series. But I'm talking about the new Teen Titans here. That's my one of my big ones. Marv Wolfman, George Perez, obviously an iconic 80s series, and tying into, as I mentioned, Nightwing, wanting to explore more Nightwing, I thought this would be a perfect way to do it. Recently, when I was at the mall, when I was going to see SpiderMan, my girlfriend and I, we stopped over at Barnes and Noble, and I always love to just stop at Barnes & Noble, and I actually try to read like an issue of something while I'm at Barnes & Noble. That's like a goal of mine. Whenever I, walk by a Barnes & Noble, I'm like, oh, I got to go in, I got to pick something random and just read, a quick issue of a random, trade that I can find there. So the one that I found was Teen Titan. And actually, for those who maybe might be familiar with it, can educate me more on it. I thought I was reading issue 1. I was actually reading issue 0. I didn't realize there was a 0 or an intro, or I don't know what you call that. But it's basically like, Nightwing, Dick Grayson, Robbin at the time, I should say, or I think, yeah, he was Robbin at the time. He was going back and forth in this like dream sequence of one being with the Teen Titans, and then the other one was he was waking up and he was like on his own, and I don't even remember like the way it led into like, I don't even think it resolved it, but I just remember it being issue 0 and then seeing the lead on into issue 1 when I finished it. And I was like, man, I gotta read the rest of it. Like, and this is something that's been on my list, right? This is not something that, randomly I'm picking or whatever. I've joked about this with, some of the friends that watched on the X-Men show where we're like, oh, maybe we should do the Teen Titans, at some point, John and I, later on. I know he's read it. I know he's a big fan as well. That's why it's on my list. So I definitely, I've been wanting to read this. So, I figured this is a perfect time to set this as a goal. 2022, new Teen Titans, George Perez, Marv Wolfman. Like I said, very excited for that. So, that is my long list. I guess it's turned out a lot longer than I thought it'd be. It's over a half hour. Thank you all for kind of hanging out here. Some other ones that I didn't mention, the one of the big ones I didn't mention on DC, I'm going to mention it now anyways, is Swamp Thing. Yes, I want to read more Swamp Thing, especially the Alan Moore stuff. I want to continue on with that from what Dan and Jennifer and Gambit, they got me kind of into this, as well as Read Across the Stars and John from John's Comics with Kids. We did a breakdown of that over on their show on Dan's channel that he does with Jennifer and Gambit. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. And I really did just fall in love with Swamp Thing, as I mentioned earlier, as part of my hunt list, right? So that's something I want to do. Read more Alan Moore while also reading the current stuff, because Ron V's just been killing it with the current stuff. Jeff Lemire had just put out this one right here. Just put this out, and I really, really enjoyed this. I think it's 3 issues altogether that's going to be coming up here. So it's a DC Black Label, but Jeff Lemire, Doug Monk. Really, really good stuff here for this first issue. So, yeah, give me more Swamp Thing. I had to add that in. I know I said I was only going to do 3 DC. There's my 4th. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this up because I've been rambling for way too long. But I would love to know in the comment section below, what are your goals for reading this year? What are you looking forward to buying? What are you looking forward to reading? Is there anything that you want to read along with? You do a buddy read. I'm totally down. If there's something you want to break down on the channel, do a discussion for. I am fully down with trying to get more of the community involved and reading these particular classic issues or covers or new books or whatever you want to read, and just talk about them, break them down, whether it's live on a channel like this or even just hanging out and DMing each other and just talking about our thoughts. Either way, totally down. Just want to keep reading. That is my biggest goal for 2022, is to just go above and beyond with what I've been reading, and continue to just enjoy this hobby, love this hobby, read the books, talk about them with friends, and that whole shebang. So with all that being said, I hope you all are having a great kickoff to the new year. I really hope you guys crush it with your goals, whatever it is that you are trying to set up for yourself. Keep in mind, there's a lot of new things I'm going to be putting out on the channel, a lot of new ideas that I have coming up, so keep an eye out for all that stuff. Comic Collector Origins is back this Saturday, January 8th. I'll be talking to my good friend Ryan from Fire Guy Ryan, who I am very excited to talk to about his origin story. If you guys don't know about the show, it's all about the community. It's where I interview community members and ask them about how they got into this amazing hobby. What do they do now with it? What does it mean to them? They show off some books. It's a lot of fun. So that's this Saturday, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, January 8th. But other than that, these have been my goals for 2022 for comic books, and we'd love to hear more of your thoughts down in the comment section below. Until next time, smash that like button, and I will talk to you later.